Hi everyone and welcome to Bit Knits. Today I am going to show you how to do this Art Deco-y 3D-ish granny square. Now if you've been watching my channel, I have done a tutorial on these pretty petal flower appliques. I am going to show you how to turn this pattern into a granny square. You can either go to my channel and I will link the tutorial for this pattern down below, but I will show you how to make it in this video as well. All you need is this exact applique and I will show you how to turn them into sort of an Art Deco-y granny square. So for this one I have chosen to do a variegated yarn, so instead of changing colors for this as we did in this pattern, I just made it all in one color and then added the granny shell border to finish. I am just going to use a regular 4-weight, medium weight acrylic yarn for this project, and you can use any hook size that you want. For me, I'm going to just use a 5mm crochet hook to get this size granny square, and I will put all of the size and pattern note information as usual down below. To start, we want to work in a magic ring, chain 2, and we're going to work 24 double crochets into that ring. Once you have 24 double crochets into that ring, you can pull the tail to kind of cinch that circle up and work into the top of the first double crochet that you worked. So you don't want to work into the top of that chain 2, you want to work into the top of the actual double crochet and just slip stitch. So you should have 24 total stitches. We're going to chain 4 for round 2. We're going to skip 2 stitches and single crochet into the next. Chain 4. Skip 2, single crochet into the next, all the way around. I've got 3 stitches left, so I'm going to work one more, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, skip 2, and single crochet into that last stitch. Now if for some reason you are off and you have to go into the stitch right before or even into this space, don't worry about it. This is just an applique. It's not going to change the overall pattern. The most important thing is to have 8 chain 4 spaces around your center here. We are going to slip stitch right into that next chain 4 space, and now we're going to work a petal. To work a petal, we're going to single crochet right away, half double crochet, double crochet, half treble, so wrap twice, so you have 3 loops on your hook, bring up a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2, and then yarn over and pull back through the 3. We're going to go back down, so a double crochet next, half double crochet, and a single crochet, and that all gets worked into that chain 4 space. We're going to chain 4, skip this chain 4 space, and work a petal right in this space. So I'm going to work a single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, half treble, back through 2 and back through the rest, double, half double, and single. Chain 4, skip this chain 4 space into the next. We're going to work a petal. So single crochet and so forth. Chain 4, skip this space and work into the next chain 4 space. We are back here at our last chain 4 space. We're going to work into this one now. If you want to change colors like I have in my other tutorial on how to do the different color petals around, check that video out. I am just going to continue to use this same variegated yarn. I'm going to work a petal into this next chain 4 space without changing colors. Now we've got this petal. So what we're going to do to get over to these chain 4 spaces is actually just sort of slip stitch into the backs of those stitches. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to work, I usually try to go through 2 and just kind of slip stitch just to carry that yarn over. And you just want to go through the back, so you won't be able to see your slip stitching on the front of the flower. Now we have these 2 chain 4 spaces. We're going to work around both of them. So just put your hook in, bring up a loop, and single crochet. And now you can continue on with your petal pattern. Half double, double, half treble, double, half double, and a single. I'm going to do the same thing with this petal. I'm going to slip stitch through the back stitch or 2. Oops. To get over to the other side of this petal, all through the back. I'm over here. Let's see, I'll do one more just to be safe. I'm going to go ahead and work my petal pattern. And slip stitch through the back of the next. And sometimes they're a little tight, depending on your tension, sometimes those stitches are a little bit tight to get your hook into and slip stitch. Alright, I'm back at my next chain 4 space. I'm going to go ahead and work my petal. And you should have 8 total petals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it kind of looks like a little square already, which is kind of why I have started to consider this my Art Deco flower. So now we can fasten off this color and pick up our background color and work this onto a granny square. Once you have fastened off, make sure you're on the front side, remembering the back is where you slip stitch. And if you haven't woven in your tails yet, the back should have this center tail. So make sure you're on the front, grabbing your background color. So luckily I had some that is almost an exact match to this sort of gold that was in that variegated. Although you could really have fun with colors on this one. Start with a slip knot on your hook. Make sure that your little flower is squared off. So you should have 2 petals on the top, 2 petals on the bottom like this, and then you've got your 4 kind of on each side. So it already looks a little bit like a square. You want to start in one of those corner petals. So I am just going to start up in this corner here. Flip your applique flower and just slip stitch like we did when we were making this applique. Slip stitch into any of those 2 back stitches, just like that, and you can join your yarn into those stitches. Just work a slip stitch. Going to chain 3 and work 2 more double crochets around that same spot where I slip stitched. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to see. Just move the yarn out of the way and work 1 double crochet and 1 more right back into that same stitches that you slip stitched into to join this first background color round. So there is going to be a corner. I'm going to finish the corner when I get up to this spot after I work my way around. In between each shell, except for the corners, I'm going to work a chain 1. My corners are going to have a chain 2 to separate. So now we want to work, we've chained 1, we want to work into the middle of this petal here. There's our first petal, there's our middle petal, and here's the one on the end. So again, yarn over, we're going to work a double crochet into the back of some of those stitches. Just work your double crochet. You need 3 total double crochets, so I'm going to work 2 more double crochets right into the back, the same stitch that I joined, or that I worked my first double crochet in. And that is going to be the top middle shell. And so try, when you're working this, try to get as close to the center. So find that center stitch and then try to work. I'm a little off, but it should be alright. We're going to chain 1 and working into this next petal. Find the back middle, that top, so our half treble, and just work your double crochet around the back stitches. You want to try to get as close to the middle as you can. And this first granny square round is a little bit tricky because you're not working into actual stitches. And the reason I'm not working into actual stitches is because I want these petals to have that 3D effect. I want them to be a little bit raised on my granny square. So this we've got our 3 shells on the top here. This is going to be a corner, and we're at a corner here. So in my corners I chain 2, and I need to work 3 more double crochets into that same spot, that same stitch where I've been working these double crochets. You can see it kind of pulls away and you've got that little space there. That's where you want to work your 3 more double crochets to finish that corner. So, doesn't look like much now. It looks a little funny. It'll work out. Once you put that second round on, it'll look a lot more straight, I promise. Chain 1, find the next petal. So here's the petal we just worked in. Find the next one. You'll see that some of the petals we have those chains where we slip stitched across. Those are much easier because you can literally just work into one of those middle, as close as you can to the middle, slip stitch chains. So I'm going to work my 3 double crochets into one of those chains on the back. Chain 1, jump to my next petal, find the center and double crochet around some of those back parts of the stitches. So I need 3 double crochets around. This is a corner, so I'm going to chain 2 and work 3 more into that same space where I've been working my double crochets on this petal. Like I said, it's kind of, this round is kind of difficult just because you're not working into spaces or actual stitches. Alright, there's our corner. Chain 1, skip to the next petal, and we've got some nice slip stitch chains here, so I'm going to work 3 double crochets into the one closest to the middle. Chain 1, jump to my next petal, and work into the back loops, back stitches. Oops, and I just lost my double crochet. So sometimes when you yarn over and you're trying to get into those back stitches, you'll lose that yarn over. So just make sure that you have yarned over and it's stayed so you can work your 3 double crochets. This is a corner, so I'm going to chain 2 for my corner and then work 3 more double crochets right back into that same spot. Chain 1, jump to my last petal. Here's where we started, and we've got some nice stitches on the back there, so I'm just going to work into the middle one and work my 3 double crochets all into the same stitch. Chain 1. Now we're back at our first petal. We need to find where we started. So this one's a little tricky. You can see there's a spot right there, and that's where we worked all of our double crochets. You want to work into that same spot where we kind of picked up and made a stitch out of the back loops of some of those petal stitches, and you want to work your 3 double crochets to finish that corner, chain 2, and slip stitch to the top of your chain 3. And that completes the first round. So you can kind of tell it's turning into a granny. Now what we want to do is just work another round, and of course you can work more rounds if you want a bigger granny square, but I'll work one more round with you. I'm going to slip stitch the next 2 stitches and into that first chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 3 and put 2 double crochets into that same space, chain 1, jump to my next space, work 3 double crochets into that space, chain 1. Now we're at a corner, so I'm going to work 3 double crochets, chain 2 for the corner, and 3 more double crochets into that same chain 2 space, chain 1, jump to my next chain 1 space and work 3 double crochets. So I'm going to work this round, and then I will meet you back at this point here. I'm back at my last corner, so I'm going to work my 3 double crochets right into that chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and then work my last 3 double crochets to finish that corner into that same space. Going to chain 1 because we need to jump to this stitch here, and just put a slip stitch into the top of that chain 3, and you've got round 2. Now you could keep going, you could slip stitch into the next 2 stitches and that next chain 1 space, chain 3, work 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochet or 3 double crochets, chain 1, work the corners, and so on all the way around. Just remember, the corners get 2 chains, and the space between the side shells only get 1. So I just love how this turned out. I love the texture that those raised petals give you on your granny square. You could really play around with color on this one. You could make one in those different petal colors like I've done here, and really have a fantastically colorful granny square and a granny blanket eventually, or whatever project. So this is super fun, not too difficult. The hardest part is really starting that first granny shell round because you're not working into actual stitches. But overall, once you get that, this project works up really quickly and you'll have a nice textured granny square. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to give this a thumbs up, share, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos and tutorials. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crocheting everyone. Bye!